The Cogitating Ceviché presents the razor-sharp wit of Alexander Pope, master satirist and poet, honoring the overlooked satirists and thinkers who altered our perspectives. Number 32, by Conrad Hannon. Narration by Amazon Polly. Preface. Welcome to the 32nd edition of our series, honoring the overlooked satirists and thinkers who altered our perspectives. In this installment, we delve into the life and work of Alexander Pope, an English poet whose sharp wit and mastery of poetic form have left an indelible mark on literature. Known for his satirical brilliance and incisive commentary on the social and literary issues of his time, Pope's works continue to resonate with readers today. Alexander Pope is a towering figure in English literature, particularly within the Augustan Age, a period known for emphasizing classical ideals and sophisticated wit. Pope's ability to weave satire with poetic elegance allowed him to dissect and critique the social mores and literary pretensions of the 18th century. His verse, marked by precision and rhetorical skill, offered a sharp lens through which the follies and vices of his contemporaries were laid bare. In exploring Pope's legacy, this edition will highlight his journey from a marginalized background to literary prominence, his major works that defined an era, and the techniques that made his satire both poignant and enduring. From his early struggles against religious discrimination to his ascent as a leading voice in English poetry, Pope's story is one of resilience, innovation, and unwavering commitment to artistic excellence. As we navigate the intricacies of Pope's life and literary contributions, we aim to illuminate the enduring relevance of his work. His critiques, though anchored in the context of his time, speak to universal themes of human nature and societal structures, making his insights as pertinent today as they were centuries ago. Introduction. Alexander Pope, born in 1688, emerged as a seminal figure in the Augustan age of English literature, characterized by its emulation of classical antiquity and emphasis on order, clarity, and decorum. Pope's unparalleled ability to blend sharp satire with lyrical beauty distinguished him from his peers, securing his place among the most influential poets of his time. Pope's journey into the literary world began in an era marked by significant social and political upheaval. Born into a Catholic family during a time of Protestant dominance, Pope faced considerable challenges, including severe restrictions on education and public life. Despite these obstacles, his prodigious talent and relentless dedication to poetry propelled him to the forefront of English letters. Among Pope's most celebrated works is The Rape of the Lock, a mock epic poem that humorously critiques the trivialities and vanities of the aristocracy. Based on an actual incident, this poem transforms a petty social dispute into a grand, epic narrative, showcasing Pope's genius for combining the sublime with the ridiculous. The poem's elegant couplets and rich imagery illustrate his mastery of form, while its satirical edge reveals his keen insights into the absurdities of high society. Another cornerstone of Pope's oeuvre is the Dunciad, a scathing attack on the mediocrity and poor taste that he believed pervaded contemporary literature. Pope lampoons the literary establishment in this work, targeting those he deemed responsible for declining artistic standards. Through biting wit and vivid characterizations, he exposes the pretensions and follies of his targets, solidifying his reputation as a fearless critic and defender of literary excellence. Pope's ambitious translation of Homer's Iliad further exemplifies his dual talent for poetic innovation and scholarly rigor. This monumental work not only brought him substantial financial success, but also established him as a premier translator who could capture the grandeur and complexity of the original text while infusing it with his own poetic sensibility. Throughout his career, Pope consistently explored themes of vanity, hypocrisy, and the follies of mankind. His poetry entertains and provokes thought, using humor and irony to challenge his readers to reflect on their own behaviors and the society in which they live. Pope's works remain a testament to his belief in the power of satire to reveal truth and inspire change, a belief that continues to resonate with modern audiences. Early life and influences. Born on May 21, 1688, Alexander Pope entered a world where his Catholic faith would place significant barriers before him. In an era when Protestantism dominated English religious and social life, Catholics, like Pope, faced severe restrictions, including exclusion from formal education and public office. These societal limitations profoundly shaped Pope's early years and fueled his resolve to excel in the literary realm. Pope's father, a successful linen merchant, and his mother, Edith Turner, provided him with a nurturing environment emphasizing education's importance. Given the legal restrictions on Catholic schooling, Pope was educated primarily at home. This home-based education proved rigorous and comprehensive, with a strong focus on classical literature, which would profoundly influence his future works. His early tutors introduced him to the great works of antiquity, fostering a lifelong admiration for classical writers such as Horace, Virgil, and Homer. The young Pope's physical health was another challenge he had to contend with. Afflicted by Pott's disease, a form of tuberculosis that affects the spine, he suffered from various health issues throughout his life, including stunted growth and chronic pain. These physical ailments did not deter him. They bolster his determination and drive. Pope's physical condition and the social exclusion he faced as a Catholic engendered a resilience and a sharpness of mind that would characterize his satirical works. In his early teens, Pope moved with his family to Benfield in Windsor Forest, where he immersed himself in studying classical texts and began writing poetry. The bucolic setting of Windsor Forest provided a serene backdrop for his literary pursuits, while the solitude allowed him to focus intensely on his craft. Pope's intellectual curiosity flourished during this period, and he cultivated the distinct voice and style that would define his later works. The influence of classical literature on Pope's early development cannot be overstated. The structured elegance and moral clarity of Horace, the epic grandeur of Virgil, and the narrative power of Homer provided templates that Pope adapted to his own ends. His early poetry already showcased a remarkable facility with the heroic couplet, a form he would later perfect and popularize in English verse. This adherence to classical forms and his keen sense of wit became hallmarks of his style. Pope's early works, including his youthful epic, Ode on Solitude, and the pastoral poems collected in Pastorals, received attention and praise, setting the stage for his future success. These early compositions revealed a precocious talent and a distinctive voice, marked by precision, clarity, and a satirical edge that would only sharpen with time. They also underscored his commitment to the values of classical antiquity, which he saw as antidotes to the excesses and follies of contemporary society. Pope's early life was shaped by significant challenges and profound influences. The combination of social marginalization, physical adversity, and a classical education forged a resilient and incisive character. These formative experiences laid the groundwork for a literary career that would not only achieve remarkable success but also exert a lasting influence on English literature. Literary career. Alexander Pope's literary career took a significant leap forward with the publication of Pastorals in 1709. This early work, a series of 4 poems, was in homage to the classical tradition and demonstrated Pope's facility with poetic form and pastoral themes. The Pastorals garnered immediate critical acclaim, positioning Pope as a rising star in the literary world. His adept use of the heroic couplet and ability to imbue the pastoral genre with a refined elegance marked him as a poet of considerable promise. Pope's next major success came with An Essay on Criticism in 1711, a didactic poem that laid out his views on literary criticism and the principles of good writing. This work blended classical ideals with contemporary insights, advocating for balance, harmony, and respect for tradition. The poem is renowned for its aphoristic quality, with lines such as, "To err is human, to forgive divine," becoming part of the literary lexicon. An Essay on Criticism further cemented Pope's reputation as a leading literary figure and established him as a critic with profound insights into the art of poetry. In 1712, Pope published The Rape of the Lock, a poem that would become one of his most celebrated works. Inspired by a real-life incident in which a lock of hair was cut from a young woman's head without permission, this mock epic transformed a trivial social squabble into a grand and humorous narrative. Through its satirical portrayal of the aristocracy's vanities and pretensions, The Rape of the Lock showcased Pope's skill in using classical forms to critique contemporary society. The poem's blend of wit, irony, and lyrical beauty secured Pope's status as a master satirist. The year 1717 marked another milestone in Pope's career with the publication of Eloisa to Abelard and Elegy to the Memory of an Unfortunate Lady. These works displayed Pope's versatility and emotional depth, moving away from satire to explore themes of love, loss, and tragedy. Eloisa to Abelard is an epistolary poem that dramatizes the tragic love affair between the philosopher Peter Abelard and his student Eloise, showcasing Pope's ability to evoke intense emotion through his verse. Similarly, Elegy to the Memory of an Unfortunate Lady is a poignant reflection on unfulfilled love and untimely death, illustrating his capacity for emotional expression and narrative complexity. Pope's ambition and literary prowess were most evident in his monumental translations of Homer's Iliad and Odyssey. Beginning with the Iliad in 1715 and followed by the Odyssey in 1726, these translations were remarkable feats of scholarship and poetic artistry. Pope's versions of these epic poems were not mere translations, they were reinterpretations that brought the grandeur and heroism of Homer's works to an English-speaking audience. These projects were immensely successful, both critically and financially, elevating Pope's status and providing him substantial financial security. The success of these translations solidified Pope's reputation as one of the foremost poets of his time and demonstrated his ability to handle complex narrative structures and grand themes with skill and finesse. His translations were praised for their linguistic beauty and fidelity to the spirit of the original texts, affirming his place in the pantheon of great literary translators. In addition to his poetry, Pope was known for engaging in literary feuds and his critical works that often targeted other writers and critics. His satirical prowess was further exemplified in the Dunciad, 1728, a scathing indictment of what he perceived as the decline of literary standards and the rise of mediocrity. This work, filled with biting wit and invective, directly attacked specific individuals and the broader literary culture of the time. The Dunciad showcased Pope's fearless critique of the literary establishment and his commitment to defending artistic integrity. Pope's literary career is characterized by a remarkable ability to navigate and excel in different genres, from pastoral and epic poetry to satire and elegy. His works reflect a deep engagement with classical traditions, a keen awareness of contemporary societal issues, and an unparalleled command of poetic form. Through his diverse work, Alexander Pope left an enduring legacy that continues to influence and inspire writers and readers alike. Major works and themes. Alexander Pope's literary genius is best exemplified through his major works, each addressing significant societal themes with a unique blend of wit, irony, and classical elegance. His ability to critique the follies of his time while maintaining a refined poetic form has ensured the enduring relevance of his oeuvre. 1. The Rape of the Lock, 1712, revised 1714. This mock-epic poem remains one of Pope's most celebrated works, satirizing the trivial disputes and vanities of the aristocracy. By applying the grandiose style of epic poetry to a minor social incident, the cutting of a lock of hair, Pope brilliantly exposes the absurdities of high society. The poem is structured in 5 cantos and uses heroic couplets to weave a narrative filled with wit, irony, and playful language. The character of Belinda, the heroine of the poem, represents the superficial concerns of the upper class, while the mock-heroic battle over her lock of hair parodies the grandeur of epic conflicts. This satirical treatment transforms a petty quarrel into a critique of societal values, highlighting the ridiculousness of prioritizing such trivial matters. 2. The Dunciad, 1728. A scathing critique of mediocrity and bad taste in contemporary literature, the Dunciad targets poets, critics, and publishers who Pope believed were responsible for the decline of literary standards. Through vivid and often harsh satirical characterizations, Pope condemns the commercialization of literature and the rise of what he saw as intellectual laziness and moral corruption. The poem's central figure, Dullness, personifies stupidity and ineptitude, reigning over a kingdom of dullards. The Dunciad is notable for its brilliant invective and biting commentary on the state of English letters, showcasing Pope's fierce defense of artistic standards. His portrayal of the chaotic and uninspired literary landscape serves as both a critique and a warning, urging a return to classical ideals and intellectual rigor. 3. Essay on Criticism, 1709. This didactic poem outlines Pope's views on literary criticism and the qualities of a good critic. It blends classical ideals with contemporary concerns, advocating for balance, restraint, and respect for tradition. The poem is divided into 3 parts. The first part discusses the rules and principles of good writing, drawing heavily on classical sources. The second part addresses the characteristics of a good critic, emphasizing humility, knowledge, and taste. The third part critiques the prevalent critical practices of Pope's time. Famous for its epigrams, including "To err is human, to forgive, divine," and "A little learning is a dangerous thing," the Essay on Criticism encapsulates Pope's belief in the importance of critical judgment grounded in classical wisdom and common sense. 4. Eloisa to Abelard, 1717. This epistolary poem dramatizes the tragic love affair between the philosopher Peter Abelard and his student Eloise. Written in the form of a letter from Eloise to Abelard, the poem explores themes of love, passion, and religious duty. Pope captures the intense emotions and inner conflict of Eloise, torn between her enduring love for Abelard and her commitment to her religious vows. The poem is noted for its lyrical beauty and emotional depth, showcasing Pope's ability to evoke powerful feelings through his verse. Eloisa to Abelard is a personal lament and a meditation on the nature of love and sacrifice, reflecting the complexity of human relationships and the consequences of passionate devotion. 5. Elegy to the Memory of an Unfortunate Lady, 1717. This poignant elegy mourns the untimely death of a young woman who, according to Pope, was driven to despair by unrequited love and societal pressures. The poem is notable for its emotional intensity and expressive language, capturing the tragic circumstances and profound sorrow surrounding the lady's death. Through this elegy, Pope addresses themes of love, honor, and the cruel judgments of society, criticizing the harsh treatment and lack of compassion shown to those who deviate from social norms. The elegy serves as both a tribute to the lady's memory and a critique of the societal values that contributed to her demise. 6. The Iliad and the Odyssey translations, 1715 to 1726. Pope's translations of Homer's epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, are monumental achievements in his literary career. These translations brought the grandeur and heroism of Homer's works to an English-speaking audience. They were praised for their poetic excellence and fidelity to the spirit of the original texts. Pope's Iliad and Odyssey are not mere translations. They are reinterpretations that capture the epic scale and dramatic intensity of the ancient Greek narratives. These works solidified Pope's reputation as a premier translator and contributed significantly to his financial success. The translations reflect Pope's deep engagement with classical literature and his ability to adapt its themes and forms to the tastes and sensibilities of his contemporary readers. Alexander Pope demonstrated his unparalleled skill in blending classical forms with contemporary issues through these major works, using satire and poetic innovation to critique societal norms and literary practices. His themes of vanity, hypocrisy, and the human condition remain relevant, making his works a cornerstone of English literature. Satirical techniques. Alexander Pope's satirical prowess is characterized by a distinctive blend of wit, precision, and a rigorous adherence to classical forms. His mastery of various satirical techniques allowed him to critique society, literature, and politics with a finesse that ensured the enduring relevance of his work. 1. Heroic couplets. The cornerstone of Pope's poetic technique is the heroic couplet, consisting of rhymed pairs of iambic pentameter lines. This structure provides a rhythmic and melodic quality to his verse, enabling him to deliver his critiques with a sense of order and elegance. The use of heroic couplets allowed Pope to craft lines that were memorable and capable of succinctly conveying complex satirical ideas. Each couplet is a self-contained unit of thought, often encapsulating sharp observations or ironic twists. For example, in The Rape of the Lock, the couplets mirror the contrast between the triviality of the subject matter and the grandeur of the epic form, enhancing the satirical impact. 2. Irony and mock epic. Irony is a fundamental element of Pope's satire, and he frequently employed the mock epic form to amplify this technique. Pope exposed the absurdities and pretensions of his targets by applying the grandiose style of epic poetry to trivial subjects. The Rape of the Lock is a prime example, where the epic conventions of heroism and divine intervention are comically juxtaposed with a petty social squabble over a lock of hair. This ironic treatment not only entertains but also critiques the superficial concerns of the aristocracy, highlighting their disproportionate responses to minor events. The mock epic form thus becomes a powerful tool for social commentary, allowing Pope to ridicule the disparity between appearance and reality. 3. Parody and allusion. Pope's work is rich with parody and allusion, drawing on a wide range of classical and contemporary sources. Pope added layers of meaning to his satire by referencing well-known literary and historical figures, inviting readers to draw comparisons and recognize the timeless nature of human folly. In the Dunciad, for instance, Pope parodies the conventions of classical epics to mock the literary figures of his time, portraying them as followers of dullness, the goddess of mediocrity. These allusions elevate his satire, providing a learned backdrop that contrasts sharply with the triviality and incompetence of his targets. Additionally, allusions to works like Homer's epics or Horace's satires lend an air of gravitas to Pope's critiques, underscoring the seriousness of his moral and artistic judgments. 4. Juxtaposition and contrast. Pope skillfully used juxtaposition and contrast to enhance the satirical impact of his poetry. He highlighted the discrepancies and contradictions in society and human behavior by placing contrasting ideas or characters side by side. In The Rape of the Lock, the grandiose language and epic similes used to describe trivial events create a humorous contrast that underscores the absurdity of high society's preoccupations. This technique not only entertains but also prompts readers to question the values and priorities of the characters being depicted. 5. Hyperbole and exaggeration. Exaggeration is a common feature in Pope's satire, used to amplify the flaws and vices he sought to criticize. By magnifying these characteristics, Pope made them more visible and subject to ridicule. In the Dunciad, the exaggerated depictions of literary dullness and incompetence underscore his disdain for the declining standards of contemporary literature. Hyperbole thus becomes a vehicle for moral and cultural critique, emphasizing the consequences of mediocrity and ignorance. 6. Dialogues and monologues. Pope often employed dialogues and monologues within his poems to present different viewpoints and satirize his subject's speech and thought patterns. These rhetorical devices allowed him to mimic the voices of his characters, adding a layer of realism to his satire. In The Rape of the Lock, for example, the speeches of the sylphs and the human characters are crafted to reflect their personalities and social positions, enhancing the comic effect and deepening the critique of societal norms. Through these satirical techniques, Alexander Pope crafted a body of influential and insightful work. His ability to blend classical forms with sharp social critique has ensured that his poetry continues to resonate with readers, providing a timeless commentary on the human condition and the enduring follies of society. Influence and legacy. Alexander Pope's influence on English literature is undeniably significant, particularly in his mastery of the heroic couplet and his impactful satirical works. His adept use of the heroic couplet, characterized by its rhythmic precision and elegant rhyme schemes, set a new standard for English verse. This form became a hallmark of neoclassical poetry, inspiring countless poets to adopt and adapt it in their own works. Pope's ability to infuse these couplets with wit and insight demonstrated poetry's potential to entertain and provoke thought, making his stylistic choices influential in shaping the literary tastes of his time and beyond. Pope's satirical works, such as The Rape of the Lock and The Dunciad, provided a model for future generations of satirists. His sharp critique of social norms, literary practices, and political landscapes offered a blueprint for using satire as a tool for commentary and reform. The effectiveness of his satire lay in its combination of humor, irony, and moral critique, elements that have become essential components of the genre. Writers like Jonathan Swift and, later, George Orwell drew on Pope's techniques to craft their own incisive critiques of society. Moreover, Pope's insistence on high artistic standards and his relentless critique of the literary establishment have had a lasting impact. His work serves as a reminder of the importance of maintaining integrity and excellence in the arts. By challenging mediocrity and championing the values of classical antiquity, Pope set a precedent for literary criticism and artistic merit that continues to resonate. His engagement in literary feuds and his critiques of fellow writers underscored the necessity of critical discourse in the evolution of literature. Pope's influence extended beyond the confines of poetry and satire, affecting broader literary trends. His translations of Homer's Iliad and Odyssey popularized these classical texts and demonstrated the value of adaptation and reinterpretation in literature. His approach to translation, which balanced fidelity to the original with creative expression, has informed the practices of translators and scholars ever since. Pope's works remain a subject of extensive analysis and appreciation in contemporary literary studies. Scholars and students continue exploring his stylistic brilliance and the nuanced social commentary in his poetry. His themes of vanity, hypocrisy, and human folly are timeless, allowing each new generation of readers to find relevance in his critiques. Additionally, his commitment to the ideals of classical literature serves as a foundation for understanding the evolution of literary forms and aesthetics. However, it's also important to recognize that Pope's perspectives and methods were shaped by his time's cultural and social contexts. While his critiques of aristocratic vanity and literary mediocrity remain pertinent, some of his views and the targets of his satire reflect the biases and limitations of his era. Modern readers and scholars often re-examine Pope's works through the lens of contemporary values, assessing their enduring strengths and historical constraints. In summary, Alexander Pope's influence on English literature is profound and multifaceted. His mastery of poetic form, particularly the heroic couplet, set a new standard for verse. His satirical works provided a powerful model for social and literary critique, and his insistence on artistic excellence continues to inspire. While his legacy is enduring, engaging with his works critically allows for a deeper appreciation of their historical significance and ongoing relevance. Conclusion. Alexander Pope's contributions to literature are monumental, and his legacy as one of the greatest satirists in English literature is firmly established. His sharp wit and mastery of poetic form have left an indelible mark on the literary world, ensuring that his works remain influential and revered. Pope's ability to blend incisive social commentary with lyrical beauty set him apart from his contemporaries and continues to captivate readers. His exploration of universal human themes, vanity, hypocrisy, and the folly of mankind, resonates across the centuries, providing timeless insights into the human condition. Through works like The Rape of the Lock, The Dunciad, and Essay on Criticism, Pope not only entertained his audience but also challenged them to reflect on their own behaviors and the society in which they lived. His fearless critique of societal norms and literary practices paved the way for future generations of poets and satirists. Pope's insistence on high artistic standards and bold engagement with the literary establishment underscored the importance of integrity and excellence in the arts. His works continue to be studied for their stylistic brilliance, offering rich material for scholarly analysis and appreciation. Moreover, Pope's influence extends beyond his satirical achievements. His translations of Homer's epics introduced these classical masterpieces to an English-speaking audience, demonstrating his versatility and profound understanding of poetic tradition. These translations remain significant literary achievements, contributing to the broader appreciation of classical literature in modern times. The enduring relevance of Pope's work lies in its ability to speak to successive generations, addressing timeless concerns with wit and elegance. His legacy shapes and inspires the world of literature, affirming his status as a master poet and satirist whose works transcend their historical context to offer enduring wisdom and entertainment. In celebrating Alexander Pope, we acknowledge his monumental contributions to literature and the continued impact of his insights and artistry. His works stand as a testament to the power of poetry and satire to illuminate the human experience, challenge societal norms, and inspire change. Pope's legacy is a reminder of the enduring importance of literary excellence and the profound influence of a single voice in shaping the cultural and intellectual landscape. Further reading and resources. For those interested in delving deeper into the life and works of Alexander Pope, the following resources provide comprehensive insights and detailed analyses of his contributions to literature. The Major Works by Alexander Pope, edited by Pat Rogers. This collection includes Pope's most significant writings, offering readers a thorough overview of his poetic oeuvre. Edited by renowned scholar Pat Rogers, the volume provides valuable context and commentary, making it an essential resource for understanding Pope's artistic achievements and literary impact. Alexander Pope, A Life, by Maynard Mack. Maynard Mack's biography of Alexander Pope is an authoritative and engaging account of the poet's life and career. This comprehensive biography explores Pope's personal and professional experiences, shedding light on the factors that shaped his work and legacy. Mack's detailed research and insightful analysis make this book a cornerstone for anyone studying Pope. Pope and the Early 18th Century Book Trade, by David Foxon. David Foxon's examination of Pope's interactions with the early 18th century book trade provides a unique perspective on his work's commercial and cultural contexts. This resource delves into the publishing practices of the time, Pope's relationships with publishers and printers, and the economic aspects of his literary career. It is an invaluable resource for understanding the broader landscape in which Pope's works were produced and disseminated. These resources offer a wealth of information and critical perspectives, allowing readers to better appreciate Alexander Pope's enduring contributions to literature and his lasting influence on the world of poetry and satire. Thank you for your time today. Until next time, stay gruntled.